This is Chris with Smoky Creek Woodworks, and today I am making some clamping jigs for an upcoming project. I decided to make these jigs instead of buy them, for one to save a little bit of money, and for two to use up some of the scrap wood that has just been laying around my shop. I have a really small basement shop, so space is at a bit of a premium. So after ripping them all down to the same width, I began to mark out my cuts. And I gave myself a curve cut so I could make sure that everything was as square as possible after I cut them. And then once I cut everything into squares, I then wanted to cut them into triangles. So I got to use a little bit of that geometry from middle school. Looking back on how I cut these boards from my squares into triangles, I think I should have done better. The way I did it, there was a big chance of kickback should that free triangle move in any way. So what I needed to do and what I should do in the future is to actually put a clamp onto my sled and hold that piece into place. The triangle on the other side is screwed into place and acting as a stop block just to keep everything uniform, but that free floating piece on the edge really is not great. After I made that sketchy cut, I took them back to the bench and then I taped everything together into groups of 3. I did this so that I could bore a bunch of holes to allow me to put clamps into these pieces. And I wanted this to be fairly accurate and uniform from piece to piece. So grouping them into 3s really helped that process. The other thing that I did is I gave myself a couple of guidelines on that sacrificial board on the drill press. This made everything very repeatable and just really made things much more accurate. I used the drill press to actually make the entire oval. By overlapping each one of my holes, I was able to bore until I had a smooth oval, and that really kept me from having to go back and do any refining work at the bench afterward. Then at the bandsaw, I removed another chunk from each corner. This is going to give me a lot more clamping options and really allow me to use every different type of clamp that I have in my shop. I'm not just stuck with squeeze clamps or anything like that. This little cutout will let me use everything that I have. The last thing I need to do is just sand down the rough edges and the ends to prevent any damage that may occur, because I will be using these to clamp pieces of plywood together. It is also going to keep my delicate little hands from getting splinters, I hope. Now I get to double check my work, and it would not be a glue up if I did not drop a clamp right in the middle of things, or right at the start this time. But yeah, this went really well. Pretty easy project. Saved me really a lot of money, and just took a little bit of time. So hopefully this will work out really well for this big closet that I have coming up. Hopefully this will help anybody who's looking at maybe needing to make something else like this. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.